Hello and welcome to the channel. So I'd like to discuss all the cards and decks that need to be addressed on the upcoming ban list. So the first deck I'm going to go over is the obvious tier 1 deck, which is Mech Knights, right? They're all over, and a lot of people don't like this deck. And I have no personal I guess qualms, you can say, with any of the decks that are currently in the meta. But just because I don't have any issues with the deck doesn't mean it doesn't need to be addressed. The first thing I think that needs to be addressed is Ibli, right? This is what gives this is like, I don't want to say a one card starter because it's not really, but this card is a major piece in the deck, giving you a free column. And I would say that in order to balance Ibli in this deck, you can have one of two things happen. You can either put Ibli to 1, so it so it can't be used in combination with the trap, or you can put it to 2 along with Blue Sky. I think hitting these two together is more beneficial because it puts another limit on Blue Sky. But I mean, it puts another limit on Mech Knight, sorry. And I don't know, but I think limit 1 also works. And limit 1 probably works overall for like the long run and the longevity of the card. I don't think Ibli might have been placed into the game a bit too early, but personally I don't mind it. But having players play cards like Link Disciple and Nightmare Mermaid just to out this card is a bit ridiculous, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, either Ibli to 1 or 2. Another hit that I think Mech Knight should get, and I think this should be the final hit when it comes to the deck, is Memories and Purple to 3. Now you might be asking yourself, why Purple, why not anything else? Or if Purple's a UR card, Konami might not hit it. That could be the case, but I personally feel as if though that if Konami wants to balance this deck fairly, I say fairly, meaning they're still able to play the trap. That's what I think. Mech Knight still being able to play their trap without having to lose any main deck cards that are not inherent Mech Knight cards. So in order for them to hit the deck fairly, I think this would be the perfect hit. And I say that because not only does it hit the consistency of the deck, but if, this is kind of like a side hit too, if they put Cypher Dragon to 3, then it also reduces the power significantly. Mech Knights are able to, I wouldn't say turbo out, but fairly easily access the Galaxy package, and this reduces their ability to do that significantly. I mean, okay, you can play more Indigo Eclipse, so you can have more level 8s, but I don't think that Mech Knights are going to play 1 Purple, 1 Memories, and 1 Cypher Dragon just to access the Galaxy package. I don't think that is gonna happen. Moving forward, so again, Ibli to 1 or 2, Blue Sky to 2 if Ibli goes to 2, and Purple, Cypher, and Memories to 3. Next deck is going to be Gokis. Now I feel like in order to hit this deck fairly, Jet Ogre and Headbat needs to go to 3. And here's the thing with that. If Headbat and Jet Ogre go to 3, that means they can only go into the Link 4 Master Ogre pretty much only one time in one turn. And I think that is probably best, because I mean, even if they do play 2 of the Jet Ogres, having only one Headbat is not going to help you get into a second Master Ogre either. So I would say that this is the best way to hit the monster cards, so that Goki doesn't become too problematic, because let's be honest, this OTK strat is a little bit overwhelming. So I think this is the best way to hit it. But this has to be in addition to rematch or finishing move going to 1. That'll also hurt the consistency, therefore reducing the ability to make Master Ogre consistently. So the power of Gokis stay the same, but the consistency is significantly reduced. So I think that that'll be perfectly fine. So like the deck might look something like this. Hold up. And then whatever back row they play, I guess. I don't know if they wanted to throw in another Twist Cobra or Scorpio, whatever. But these cards, these normal summons here, are not going to get you multiple monsters on board. You'd have to stall, you know. And also, with Headbat and Jet Ogre going to 3, they can't play those traps like Crackdown and Ice Dragon's Prison and Compulse, right? Floodgate, these cards. So same thing with Mech Knights. Although I don't think these cards are as problematic in Mech Knights. But yeah. Oh, also another reason why I wanted purple to go to 3, and I think this is a must, right? When Mech Knights, I think something's gonna go to 3 in Mech Knights. Probably Memories. That's probably the easiest to hit. Probably Memories and Blue Sky maybe. But I feel purple needs to get hit. And I say that because Mech Knights have access to a trap card that I don't know if people have been experimenting with recently to have a backup kind of plan for the deck once Mech Knights do get hit. But this card has been under the radar. Let's see. Mind Over Matter, right? This is a counter trap card that stops a summon or a spell trap card activation by attributing a psychic type monster. By having access to this trap card, this maintains the power of the deck regardless if you put anything to 3. Like if you only put one card to 3, this like pretty much keeps the power of the deck. So I think purple going to 3, that's like their main card. Like purple is like, I guess, the starter, if you will, right? That needs to go to 3 to keep this, I think, in check. Alright, continuing. Next deck I feel that needs a hit is Infernoids. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't see too many Infernoids in the KC. Now, I didn't really play the KC that much, considering that I didn't really prepare for it that well and I didn't take it too seriously. I maybe had a total of 4 hours, maybe in stage 2, maybe, if that. So, but this deck, it needs to be addressed. If other decks in the meta get addressed and this sees nothing, then this will automatically jump to a tier 1 deck. Over Salads, over Galaxy Eyes over, I don't know, I guess the Red Eyes deck that's been coming up, that this deck will immediately hit tier 1 status. And this deck is way too toxic to be a tier 1 deck. So I think in order to keep that from happening, they originally, what I thought they needed to do, or what I preferred them to do, was to hit Seer and either Decatron or Diviati to 3. And what I've experienced with playing Infernoids and playing against Infernoids, I figured that Void Seer was the main problem with the deck, right? A lot of people are saying that Galaxy Eyes is too toxic because you have an indestructible rank 8 on the board that can negate monster effects, right? Decatron is pretty much the same thing. The only difference is it has lower attack, so you can run over it. But other than that, Decatron is basically the same thing as Photon Lord. So I felt as though this would have been the best way to hit the deck, so your opponent can't immediately sear their Decatron, and now you have no way to play around Decatron because your book didn't work, your chalice didn't work, and maybe you don't have a bait in hand to bait out a negate. But what I realized is that despite the opponent not having seer, the fact that they can literally turbo out 3 monsters, and the monsters that they summon are quite powerful. The fact that they can turbo out 3 monsters is quite ridiculous. So the only answer to that is Void Banishment and Feast to 3. That's the only answer. Now, the thing is, what are they going to do to, what are Infernoids going to do to those 3 cards that they lost, right? Because together 3 and 3 of Feast and Banishment and 6 cards. Well, most likely they're going to drop Void Banishment and keep Feast, right? Keep Feast at 3 and keep Feast at 2 and Void Banishment at 1, right? So what are they going to do about the extra 3 slots that they lost? They can play cards like Into the Void, they can play cards like Void Trap Hole, right? So that is not going to really be that much of a hit to the deck. I think they also need another hit, but I'm not sure where that hit would go. I really don't know, because Diviati to 2 does nothing. Decatron to 2 virtually does nothing. I mean, having 1 less Decatron in the deck, I mean, I don't think that really does much. It needs another hit. But if you put anything else on the limit 3 list, I think that's a bit too much. So let's see what Konami does. This is a mandatory though. Vanishment and Feast to 3. A lot of cards in this meta need to go to 3. So yeah, I think that's the least Konami can do to Infernoids. Another deck that is probably the most toxic deck in the meta, and no, it's not Galaxy Eyes, okay? Galaxy Eyes is not as bad as people make it out to be. Anyways, the most toxic deck in this format right now is Infernities. This deck needs to be abolished, and I don't know what, I'm not gonna lie, I like this deck. I've played like a couple times. It's cool, but in all honesty, this is the most toxic deck we've seen in a while. And I think what they need to do is put this card to 1 or 2. With the skills Fleeting Hand and Shell of a Ghost, you basically get access to 4 Infinity Launchers. Let's make it so you can either only have access to 2 Infinity Launchers or 3 Infinity Launchers, not 4. 4 is what makes the deck, I think, exceedingly toxic, right? And you could say that another card could be hit too, but the thing is with this deck is like, there's not much you can hit to make it to keep it from doing what it does, because there aren't cards that that it plays that are already limited. Like, for example, the limit 3 traps, right? A lot of decks play these cards, and when you put archetypes on limit 3s, they can't play these cards, right? So now they have to stick with the inherent archetype and find alternatives to make up for those trap cards, or just straight up play the archetype by itself, right? Find some other sort of strategy. Infinities aren't like that. There's a lot of this. Basically, all the cards in Infinities are free. There's nothing on the ban list. So putting Infinity Launcher to 1 is probably the best. But if they put it to 2, then something else does need to get hit, and it'll probably have to be either. I mean, hitting an Archfiend does nothing. I would say something like maybe Necromancer or Sage, along with the either Downbeat or Transmodify. Probably Sage and Downbeat, or Infinity Launcher to 3, I guess that'll work. But yeah, Infinities definitely need to be hit, and they don't need to come back anytime soon. I'm sorry, it's just that deck is fun. It is very fun, but it's super uninteractive. The next deck that doesn't need to be addressed, in my personal opinion, but will most likely get addressed, and most people do want to see it be addressed, is Galaxy Eyes. Now, the reason I say Galaxy Eyes doesn't need to be addressed is because we've seen a lot worse decks. Infernities and Infernoids are way worse than Galaxy Eyes, and even in the past too, we've seen worse decks, and some decks didn't get hit, and they just fell from relevancy. I think that'll be the same thing with Galaxy Eyes. Perfect example, Blue Eyes, right? Now I know Melody and Azure Eyes went to 1. That really didn't do anything. That wasn't really the main issue in Blue Eyes, right? Everybody that was around during that meta can agree that the Karma Cut, Raigeki Break, and Stone combo was what was making everybody upset, right? Discarding Stone to get a free card from your deck, and with Spirit, you actually plussed, right? So Karma Cut or Raigeki Break and Stone is 2, right? It's 2 cards you need, right? So with Raigeki Break, right, or Karma Cut, it's a 2 for 1. You need to use 2 cards in order to get rid of 1. But with Stone, you get your 2 for 2 back, right? Or your 2 for 1 back. So you get rid of a card using Raigeki Break or Karma Cut by discarding Stone. Stone gets you a monster in the end phase. But when you have Spirit, Spirit banishes a back row. That gets you a +1. So that was what everybody was complaining about, right? How that is, I guess, unfair. I mean, to me, it wasn't unfair. I mean, I feel like people complain and focus on the wrong things, but that's what was a lot of people's issue. People were saying ban Karma Cut, limit Karma Cut, do this to Raigeki Break and Karma Cut. But guess what? Konami didn't touch Karma Cut or Raigeki Break, and guess what? The deck fell out of relevancy, right? So same thing will happen to Galaxy Eyes, but I do see them doing something, and they'll most likely hit the scale, to be honest. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be upset. I haven't touched Galaxy Eyes since probably last year, but if they hit the scale, I'm gonna be sad, because the deck is to me it'd be unjustified, especially to hit the skill. I'd rather them hit main deck cards than to hit the skill. But in order for them to hit the skill, they'll probably do a life point requirement, or they'll probably do what is it, a turn-based requirement, so from like turn 3 or onwards, something like that. Or they'll probably do it so where like you can only activate one of the either skills per duel, maybe something like that. So let's see what happens with that. But yeah, so reviewing: Mech Knight Purple and World Legacy Memory to 3 to reduce the power. Also in combination with Cypher Dragon going to 3. The two main decks that play Cypher Dragon, or the Galaxy package rather, are Mech Knights and Triple Ds, and neither of them can afford to play Cypher Dragon once their limit 3s are in place. So that will remove Cypher Dragon out the deck. Ibly to 1 or 2. Finishing move or rematch to 1. Headbat and Jet Ogre to 3. Feast and Vanishment to 3. And Infinity Launcher to 1 or 2. Those are the things. Those are the cards I feel that need to be addressed. All the decks that I've mentioned will probably be addressed in one way or another. I don't see Konami passing up any of the decks that I mentioned just now. The main reason the reason they'll hit Galaxy Eyes, they'll say something probably like, oh, this deck has been around for a long time, you know, something like that. Or what did they say? I think it was Ritual Beast. Whatever they said under Ritual Beast, how the deck was it's like old and it's like been around on the ladder for a long time, so to freshen up the meta, we're gonna hit this deck or something like that. I feel like that's why they say they're gonna hit the skill or Galaxy Eyes. But yeah, I think that's it. I can't think of any other cards or decks that need to be addressed in the current meta. I saw some people talking about Water Exceeds and how that deck is going to get hit. The skill is going to get hit because it did well in the KC Cup. If Konami hits Water Exceeds, that will be probably one of the worst hits they've done in a while, and I'm going to tell you why. The reason Water Exceeds did so well in the KC Cup is specifically because of Gokis. Like, I don't know about anybody else, but Gokis was probably the main deck that they saw, probably even over Mech Knights in the KC Cup. So what was the best way to turbo out the main counter to Gokis, which is Abyss Dweller? Water Exceeds. So that's why it did well. I mean, come on now, like, I think that's pretty obvious, but some people are saying that Konami likes to hit first place decks. I mean, Konami hits first place decks if first place decks need to be hit. They don't hit first place decks because they're first place. Come on. Like, anyways. Yeah, I don't see Water Exceeds being touched this ban list, and if they do hit it, then that'll be unfortunate because Water Exceeds is not bothering anybody. The deck is fine. It's barely tier status, and yeah, I think that's it. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any comments, concerns, leave them in the comment section. I'll reply to you guys. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.